Hello everyone and welcome back to DC Central, and in today's video we're going to be discussing the news that Hartley Sawyer, the actor who portrays Ralph Dibny, aka the Elongated Man on The Flash, has been fired from the show and won't be returning for Season 7, so let's discuss. So this news comes from The Hollywood Reporter, and this follows the leaks of Hartley Sawyer's old tweets, which were brought into the light and were resurfaced last week. These tweets were these attempts at edgy humour, and they were attempts at jokes, and these particular jokes that he tweeted were very misogynistic and very sexist and very racist. They just were not good jokes. They were done in very poor taste. They weren't very funny or funny at all, and it just was a really bad look for Hartley Sawyer from these tweets from the past. I believe they were from 2014, and there was a lot of speculation over the last week or so as to what the CW were going to do with him and how they were going to react to it and stuff like that. And we've now learned from the Hollywood Reporter that he will not be coming back for Season 7. The quote goes as follows: Hartley Sawyer will not be returning for Season 7 of The Flash. This statement comes from the CW producers Warner Bros. TV and Berlanti Productions, Eric Wallace. In regards to Mr. Sawyer's posts on social media, we do not tolerate derogatory remarks that target any race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, or sexual orientation. Such remarks are anti-ethical to our values and policies, which strive and evolve to promote a safe, inclusive, and productive environment for our workforce. So that's the quote that comes from Eric Wallace in regards to Hartley's firing. Eric Wallace did release a further statement, which is much longer and a lot more in depth. He talks about other things going on. I'm not going to read that one just because I don't feel it's as relevant to what we're talking about here, but basically the news is Hartley, he's not coming back. Ralph was not going to be returning for Season 7, and that's that. Now, I'm not going to talk about the situation any more than that, other than to say that I feel like the situation was really poor. And obviously Hartley, he screwed up big time, and this is him paying the price for what he did. I still feel like there's a lot more to this. I don't think this is as black and white as people sort of making it. I don't think it's, Hartley's a bad guy. I've met Hartley Sawyer myself. He seems like a perfectly lovely guy. I've only ever heard nice things about him. I don't think that these tweets are, symbolic of who he is today, or emblematic of who he is today. But unfortunately, obviously, these tweets were really bad, and something had to happen, really, especially with everything going on at the moment. So I'm not going to say anything more about the situation other than that, because what I really want to focus on in this video in particular is talking about how Hartley's departure is going to affect the show. So I guess the big question here is Ralph Dibny, the character, going to be leaving the show? Obviously, it's kind of a messy situation, even more so than we already have right now, because The Flash ended abruptly with Season 6. It wasn't supposed to end on episode 19, of course. The storyline was already cut short, and it seems like Ralph's storyline in Season 6 wasn't fully wrapped up, particularly what was going on with Sue Dearborn. And obviously, Ralph as a character is very much tied to Sue. They did end on a cliffhanger in the sense that Sue was framed for the murder of Joseph Carver, and it seems like Ralph was going to be roped into that and tied into that storyline. So Ralph as a character seems to be pretty important. I mean, he's a big member of the cast. He's a big character. The Elongated Man is a big character. He's kind of, Barry's main sidekick. He's kind of like the second to the team. He's kind of like, sort of, he would take over from Barry if Barry wasn't there. So, I think Ralph is quite a difficult character to write out of the show. So there has been a lot of speculation about whether or not they would recast Ralph or if they would just write him off the show entirely. I think personally, if they wanted to recast Ralph, it's perfectly doable. I know there's been a lot of jokes about whether or not they do it, because obviously with Ruby Rose leaving Batwoman, we thought they were going to recast Kate Kane, and then they just decided that they were going to bring in a whole new character instead. So a lot of people are saying, well, if they didn't do it with Kate Kane, why would they do it with Ralph Dibny? Which is fair. Like I say, I think there's a chance that they could just completely write Ralph out of the show if they would rather do that, but I think there is a chance that they could actually recast the role, because we've seen there's a precedent for this, that Ralph can change his appearance at will. Like, with his powers, he's able to essentially shapeshift and turn his face into whatever he wants. So they could easily, very, very easily write this in where Ralph has to change his appearance, like perhaps because Sue was framed for the murder, perhaps Ralph gets framed for it as well. Like at the same time, they are kind of like a, criminal duo. So Ralph is able to change his appearance, to look like someone else, like whoever this new actor is who they bring in to play Ralph Dibny. They can, explain that, like, and they can explain why he changed his face to look like this other guy and why he looks different. And then they could easily write a situation where you know, perhaps something happens to Ralph, he gets hit by something, he, you know, gets some kind of something in his blood or something like along those lines that causes him to not be able to change back to the Ralph that we know, and that means he's stuck as this other, you know, as this other looking guy. It's very easy to do. I think for Ralph as a character, they're quite lucky in the sense that they can write this, because as I said, I think Ralph is a very important character to the show. I think he's very essential. I think for the longevity of the show, I think Ralph is important, especially with Sue Dearborn, who has obviously become a big character in season 6. She's going to become an even bigger character. I wouldn't be surprised if she actually gets upgraded to a series regular for season 7. I think that, you know, Ralph is quite an important character, so to write him out of the show, I think, would be unwise. So I think for them to recast the role would make sense. And again, there's actual precedent in the show of a way that they can do this. Like, they can actually make it make perfect sense of the show. It's not like they just recast the actor, which, again, they could just do that. They could just recast the actor. But if there's a way to actually explain it in the show, which in Ralph's case there absolutely is, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. But then again, there was no logic to bringing in a whole new character to play Batwoman for season 2, but the CW did that anyway, so we'll have to wait and see if they recast the role. So, as I said, they could easily just write out the character as well. It just, for me, I feel like they really want to do a lot more with Ralph. I feel like he's an important character, and again, he's so tied into Sue Dearborn, Natalie Dreyfus' character, who, again, was a very new addition to the cast this year. I don't see why they would want to write out Ralph. So again, he could get written out. They could just completely get rid of the character because they don't want any association to this situation or Hartley Sawyer. They just want to get rid of it, which I completely understand. But like I say, I feel like it'd be a lot more wise just to recast the role. And if there's a way they can explain it, which, as I said, in Ralph's case, they can absolutely explain it, I think it would be much better to just bring in a new actor to play Ralph Dibny, change his face, and again, they can explain it with his powers, find a way so that he can't change back, and then there you go, problem solved. So overall, a bit of a sad news day, unfortunately, last night, you know, especially for Hartley Sawyer. Like I said, I feel like he did, you know, some really poor choices. He made some poor choices with these tweets. You know, he did apologize and, you know, but unfortunately, he had to, you know, suffer some consequences for this. You know, these tweets were dug up, and especially at this time, like with everything going on, you know, with the Black Lives Matter movement and with George Floyd's murder and stuff like that, those particular type of tweets that people are going to find, it's just not a good time either. So I feel like that this is a really sad situation. I'm very sad to see Hartley leave the show. I'm sad to see Ralph potentially leave the show, just because, again, I really like his character. And again, I've met Hartley. He seems like a lovely dude. But again, there had to be consequences for these actions. You know, these things can't go unchecked. These things are bad. So I think, you know, Hartley is, you know, I think he's accepted that, you know, what he did was wrong. And this is the price that he's paying for that. But what do you guys think about this news? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And also, how do you think, what do you think they're going to do with Ralph going forward? How do you think they're going to handle this? How do you think they're going to, you know, do it on the show? Do you think they're going to bring in a new actor, or do you think they'll just write Ralph out of the show entirely? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say. And as always, guys, if you want to see more DC content like this and Flash videos like this and stay up to date with all the breaking news, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And hope to see you guys again next time.